Hello, everyone. Coming to you live from beautiful downtown Burbank. Thank you all for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you, everyone. We will get started with the remote editing anywhere, anytime with Avid. My name is Michael Krulik. Just to start out with, there are a lot of people still logging in, so thank you for joining. I do want to do a little housekeeping first, and let's start off with how you can submit questions. There is a Q&A portion of the Zoom meeting where you're logging into that you can type in questions while the presentation is going on. Also, if you're coming in through any of our other social media outlets, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, we're broadcasting this all over the place. So feel free to type in questions. We have some people online to help answer those if possible, and we also will have a portion at the end of the presentation to hopefully be able to answer some of those as well. So let's get started. Yes, this is the remote editing from anywhere, anytime with Avid webinar. My name is Michael Krulik, a video product evangelist out of Los Angeles. Also, we have a couple of other senior solution specialists joining us as well online here to help answer questions. We have Kent Peterson out of Toronto and Imanol Zubizarreta out of Mexico and Latin America. So they will be online to help. So thank you to them for joining, and also several other people from Avid as well, Sarah and Angel. So how do we start talking about working remotely? People have actually been trying to work remotely for years, but unfortunately, due to the impact of the recent situation with COVID-19 and the pandemic, people have been forced to get into more remote workflows, which has been driving a lot of the demand for Avid to help make solutions or work on solutions to help provide tools that people can work in production. How is that possible? Is it working on set? Is it the DIT creating media? How is that brought into the process? And is it possible to be able to work effectively? And we have a variety of solutions to do that. Again, this is a nice little representation. A lot of people around the world working remotely, setting up their kitchen tables for editorial, setting up special edit bays. What we're finding, which is interesting, when this happened, it seems like, it was a long time ago, but it actually wasn't. People were taking their computers, or asked to take their computers out of their edit bay and bring it home to work, something that basically was unheard of in a lot of studios. They didn't want, hardware or the potential of media being taken out and taken home or being put online. So everything was secure at facilities and studios. But now people are saying, okay, it's okay to take that computer home, take that media on a drive and be able to work. And also what's interesting is a lot of people said they didn't realize that they could work from home effectively. Being able to have that professional and personal balance with their life to be able to work, it actually has changed the way they work. Some people can work from home, some people can't. Some productions can work from home, some productions can't. So this is where we're going to talk about some solutions which are available. So why did this happen? What's the impact driving the need for this remote access? Again, definitely the pandemic, but it's also opening up opportunities for a lot of editors who said, I don't want to have to go home. I want to work. I don't want to have to go to the facility. I want to work from home. How can I do that? And again, this has opened up the possibilities. So there is that immediate need for the remote workflows, being able to work effectively, which is huge. When you used to have a collaborative environment, which is a little more closed in, where you were working at the facility and be able to yell down the hall to somebody for something, you don't have that now. You're either going through text or through other options. So being able to enable employees to work from home, huge. Also being able to share and collaborate. Avid has the amazing tools to be able to collaborate with Nexus, with project sharing and bin locking. Can you take that same technology and do that remotely? And actually, you can. Being able to take hardware and environments that you currently have, and how can you virtualize those? Can this all work in the cloud? If you are working with high-res media, can you work with proxy? What type of workflow do you have that's able to allow you to work in the cloud? And also, how long is this going to happen? Is this short term? Are your shows short term? Is it long term? A lot of animations, films, they take longer than several months. That could be a year or two, or even 3 to be able to work. Can these workflows be handled remotely? And also, again, security and how that happens. So things to look for, again, a lot of this, I was mentioning before. What's the size of the production you have? Is it, one person who needs to be able to work with media in the cloud? Is it, several people? Who needs to collaborate? You have, sound, you have VFX, you have assistants, you have producers, you have the editors. Who needs to be part of the process? How effective do they need to be, in the process? What do they need to be able to do their work effectively? Security, again, is a big issue. Can media be taken out of the facility or the studio to work? Can it be physical on a drive, which a lot of people are doing? Or can it be something that you can log into or remote into your Nexus storage, either on-prem or in the cloud? What do you need to be able to work effectively? And what is your workflow? Do you need to take media and send it to a VFX house, let them work on the media and have that uploaded? How fast does that need to happen? What's the time frame? Not just for everybody working together, but being able to work the time frame of your actual production. And third-party support is a big thing when it comes to plugins inside of editorial. Do you need to have access to all of them? Do you not? Can they be loaded up onto systems that are in the cloud or not, or can it be on-prem? And also asset management. Do you have the tools, if you are working on Media Central or our production asset management system, to be able to access any of those assets working remotely? Can you do that? Again, those are really important things to think about when you are trying to work remotely. Now, this presentation that I want to do isn't just for producers. I want to be able to expose editors to different ways that they're working. Again, this happened in February and March when people were taking out. There are a lot of editors that unfortunately may not be working now. There are editors that are working. There are editors that want to know how they can work. And so this is what I want to try and point out, or at least explain in this presentation. And of course, working for Avid, I want to talk about Media Composer and the options that we have there. So different options to fit the needs. I'm going to be talking about Media Composer Cloud VM. So that's being able to take Media Composer and going into a virtual environment with Nexus and shared storage and be able to collaborate. You have remote desktop solutions. People have been using these for years. I mean, some people are even using TeamViewer or AnyDesk just to log into a computer, just to have access to do things. But what really is required when you are working in a collaborative environment or trying to work as a whole is ballistics. So there are tools like RGS and Z Central, which allow you to do that, and we'll show you some of that. And another tool that Avid has recently announced, and recently, over the past year or so, but something that we're actually getting really some nice features added into, is Avid Edit on Demand. It's a nice tool to be able to spin up a collaborative environment in the cloud. So I'll definitely show you a lot of that. So these need to be sized to fit your budget, depending on what you have. Are you a facility that has Media Composer licenses? How can you link those and to be able to work remotely per your investment, and also being able to manage your media and projects. And do you want to sneaker net your media? Do you want to use your existing media and hardware that you have there? And also, what type of real-time collaboration do you need to be able to share your projects? You could be an island. You could just have Media Composer working, or do you need to upload things to the cloud to work? So Media Composer Cloud VM, just a nice little eye chart here for information. Media Composer Cloud VM is an add-on that could happen if you currently have Media Composer Ultimate. You're virtualizing Media Composer and being able to log in through a workstation. It could be a Zero client. I'm on a Mac laptop. could be a PC. And again, a zero client is just a little box where you're plugging in a keyboard and mouse and connecting over PC over IP using what we're linking to, which is Teradici. A lot of people are having some great success with that. So the good thing about this is you could be remoting into old computers that you have at the facility. You're accessing all of the same workflows that you would have in a collaborative environment. So you have all of your project sharing, your bin locking, your multicam editing. You have, functionality with different virtualized machines that you may have that you might not have had access to previously. And basically, a lot of this on the business side is being able to reduce, maintenance and your resource costs, because again, you're using what you have. You're just logging in with the Teradici client to gear that you may currently have. Your requirements, a virtual environment. Now that could be on-prem or in the cloud. The licenses for the remote streaming desktop vendor, again, Teradici. Teradici allows for Mac or PC clients, or I believe Linux as well. And also you have the HP RGS or the Z Central, which is PC only. Now I do want to tell you, if you don't know or if you haven't used it, again, I'm on a Mac, but I'm going to be logging with Teradici into a PC environment. And what we found is, a lot of people who were, a little hesitant with that. It's a little give and take there, where if you want to work remotely, you may need to log into a PC. And, after a little time of, knowing where to switch or mapping your keys, you have a really great experience there. So it's really not that bad. And also you have your Nexus storage. So you're logging into a complete collaborative environment, which basically a lot of people don't even know that they're not working, locally with Media Composer on their system. There are limits depending on the video system solution that you're using, the interface. Depending on the format that you are using as well, there also are limitations to audio. There's limitations to how you are, screening if you are doing full screen playback. So there are options, but there are things that you need to consider if you are working remotely. But Avid has tested all of these as far as Media Composer Cloud VM, and I will show you a little bit of that. Now, Media Composer Remote Desktop is a little different because you are remoting using a different service like HP's RGS to log into another computer. So it is just a point-to-point connection to another client, to another system there. Again, you can use old computers, really easy to get up and running, gives you a lot of control for fast deployment. Again, limited investment as far as the infrastructure that you have needed. And it does run on both facility-based workstations and remote clients. Again, subject to your internet connection. We do believe that about 25 meg connection per screen actually works best. I've run this off Wi-Fi and have really great experience. Hardwire, of course, is going to give you another great experience when you are connected as well. You are limited by the capabilities of the remote desktop solution that you are using, whether you are using RGS or other, TeamViewer or AnyDesk. Again, TeamViewer, AnyDesk, or Zoom may not have that power to actually do it. That's why Teradici was designed to be able to help, and RGS was able to designed to help with that as well. And also being able to upload your remote media back to the facility requires additional tools if you are using remote desktop. So you want to take that into consideration. And then we have Avid Edit on Demand. This is a complete virtual production with remote workflows. So you're actually being able to spin up on on your computer, a complete collaborative environment really fast. It's limited. We wouldn't say it's full facility based, but we do allow up to 30 seats of Media Composer, and you can buy up to 200 terabytes of Nexus cloud storage. So everything is in the cloud. The nice thing about Avid Edit on Demand is that it is our SaaS offering. So it is a software as a service. It's a subscription, different than Media Composer Cloud VM and the remote desktop solutions. This is something that you buy on a month-to-month or in a bundle or on a yearly contract to say, all right, I have a television show that I'm doing or a film or promos or anything, and I want to just spin up a Media Composer collaborative environment in the cloud. It can be linked with, Media Composer Cloud VM systems. It could, be running completely independent. You could have multiple instances of Avid Edit on Demand, and we'll show you how to easily set that up. It's fully secure, it's fully supported, and really, really easy to use. Again, monthly pricing, no hidden fees, no overages, but just like a phone service that you have, right? Your mobile phone. But again, really great. And it has evolved quickly and easily due to the situation currently at hand. So Avid Edit on Demand, again, monthly, you're buying it by seat. You have 174 editing hours per user per month. It is set up for a time that we believe that you will be logging in to Avid Edit on Demand. You can actually start your subscription with at least 1 terabyte of storage per user and build up on that. To be able to bring media up to the cloud, to Avid Edit on Demand, you have File Catalyst to upload and also download. So you can actually download stuff to maybe your facility and do your finishing. We have several customers who are actually doing that really, really well and finding it really easy with Avid Edit on Demand. You have your download data included, customer support included with that as well, and no overage charges again. So if you go over the time that you have currently set for your Avid Edit on Demand system, we're not charging you any overages there. Again, I'm going to go just through a couple more PowerPoints because I do want to show you how these options work. So Avid Edit on Demand, there is a portal that takes you into the portal to administrate Avid Edit on Demand. You have up to 60 named users you can put on the system, but 30 concurrent. So you can name 60, 30 can be logged in at one time. Again, up to 200 terabytes of Nexus Cloud storage, but it is one single Nexus workspace. We'll talk about a future where that is going to be, changed with that. But you have full workflows to be able to transcode media. You're working with Media Composer. Again, once you get into any of these systems, Media Composer is Media Composer. So you're working with the software that you've known for years. It's just how's the experience going to be for you with media, either remoting into a system or using it all in the cloud. Then you'll be able to download bins and projects as well with Avid Edit on Demand. Avid Edit on Demand is set up by data centers. You're actually choosing the data center. When you administrate, you want it to be more local to where you are. I actually had a colleague log into mine in the West Coast. He was in the UK, and he said his experience was really great. These data centers have been added. We started with 4. We have added more of them going over to Australia and Japan, and that's part of the process when you get your activation code for Avid Edit on Demand. And our customer use cases are, Gorilla Post. We have Jarrett, the production company, Jarrett Creative, and France TV. Those are online. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to go in and let's go into some of these tools here to show you how they work. The first thing I want to do is bring up, let's bring up Media Composer Cloud VM. So the way I'm going to log into that is using my PC over IP client. So this is a Teradici client, which is allowing me to access Media Composer Cloud VM. Now I do have several instances here. I have my Edit on Demand system as well as the system that I'm logging into. Now again, I am in Los Angeles. I'm logging into my Media Composer Cloud VM system in Burlington, Massachusetts. I have a lot of passwords here, so I'm gonna make sure I type it in correctly. And now it's going to take me into my instance of Media Composer through my VM. So this Nexus, the Media Composer, is all in Burlington, Massachusetts. I'm just using the PC over IP client to log in, and I'm scrubbing media, which is on the Nexus.
The way I edit, everyone has their own way of working. And oftentimes I think it takes someone else showing you a new tool.
Oh, that was very fitting. So here we have, Media Composer. It is managed by the facility. So any updates, any media, anything is being logged in there. But the great thing is now, unfortunately, we're going in through Zoom. I'm having a great experience. So if I go in and I play,
takes someone else show us.
I'm just using, J
someone else showing you
and L to go back and forth, and it's smooth as butter here. I mean, it is just, I'm scrubbing through and I'm working with, Media Composer. I have, all of my tools available to me to be able to work. And again, it's the experience of, just have to move my Zoom menus out of the way. What's the experience that I want to have? The media hasn't left the facility. I'm logging into it. I have, all my editorial functions.
Takes you to that line of
I could be working with DNX HD. I could be working with, whatever media that is on the system. And again, fully collaborative environment logging into that. So again, that's all facility based. Nothing is logged into my system except the Teradici client, and I'm able to work. Now, on the other side of that, if I wanted to do the RGS or the Z Central, what I have is Z Central. Now, I just clicked on the application. I've already logged in. I have Media Composer. Again, I'm scrubbing through.
If you are referring to your leg, I have hidden it. Given its importance to you, it seemed the most humorous course of action.
Again, I'm hoping you're, getting a decent playback. Again, it's very smooth on my system, but all I had to do was log into, go ahead and quit out of my RGS. Here's the Zoom Central, the Z Central system that I log into. I type in the IP address, then it's going to allow me to log into that instance of Media Composer. Again, all of this is happening at the facility. I've logged in. Once I go in, it takes me right back to where I was. So I do have control where I have all of my Nexus workspaces. I can go in and move things around just as if I was at the facility. Again, I don't have the connections and the full control depending on what sort of hardware I have. But if I'm just an editor who needs to log in and just work, the ability is right there. Again, really fast and really easy. We can go in and visit some of these again, but I really want to highlight Avid Edit on Demand. And to do that, let me just hide my Teradici. Actually, we'll quit out of this. And the way Avid Edit on Demand starts is basically when you buy your subscription. Again, this is on the early access program. If you go to Avid Edit on Demand, yes, I'm Googling. You will see here that Avid Edit on Demand, all the options are here, and there is a selection for request early access. It is still considered early access because, again, we're still working on the product. It is evolving quickly, but you can still buy into it. Make sure you check with your Avid rep on Avid Edit on Demand or your reseller, and they can tell you all the different options that are there. So get your early access. Here we have, you can watch the video. I'll actually play that later with Gorilla Post. Take a look at any of our resources talking about the product. But where you're going to get your setup, once you get your access, your activation code, you would go to your user settings. So you would sign in. Acrylic. And I already have my instance of Avid Edit on Demand set up. But what you would do is once you get the activation code, you would go to register register your software with your code. And at that point, you are given options. These options are important because that's where you're choosing your data center. Where are you logging into your instance of Avid on Demand? Where is your media going to be stored? Where is that Nexus storage in the cloud? And you also get to choose, and this is something that's brand new with Avid Edit on Demand, what version of Avid Media Composer do you want to set up? You have 2018 or 2020. So we know people that are still, want to use 2018. They haven't moved to the new UI yet, which is amazing. But you also can choose, again, 2018 or 2020 when you are setting up Avid Edit on Demand. Now, again, this is administrated by somebody, but everything is set up in one system in the cloud. You're given your copies of Media Composer is set up automatically. Your Nexus storage space is set up automatically. All you're doing is you're going to be typing in a name. So my name for my system is EOD Burbank. So everything linked to my instance of Avid Edit On Demand will be named EOD Burbank. And we'll see that when I go into my subscriptions or my products. So I've administrated Avid Edit On Demand. You'll see here that it is active. I have several months that are set up for my subscription. There is a system ID assigned to this, but we also have the dashboard, which puts me into the Avid Edit On Demand portal. Now this is vital to setting up Avid Edit On Demand, the amount of users, getting feedback to how much storage is being used, being given links to File Catalyst, because that's where you're going to be uploading media to your instance of Avid Edit On Demand. I currently have one that was canceled. I have a new one that was set up here. You'll see that I have 5 instances of Media Composer with 25 terabytes of storage on my instance. And I have hooked it up to the West US data center. If I open that up, you'll see under the usage tab, it does tell me, I haven't used very much of my 25 terabytes. Here's my data download, and the editing hours that are currently used on the system. Haven't used very much, just from several of my demos at this point. But it is giving me all of that information so I can manage my Avid Edit On Demand instance to know if I need to add more storage at any time, add more users, or maybe even bring up another instance. Under the Users tab, this is where you're setting up, obviously, your users. So if I open up my current active instance of Avid Edit On Demand, you'll see all of the users that I currently have assigned. And at this point, I can add a new user. Let's go ahead and add, let's see, Paula wants to be a user here. We'll go ahead and submit Paula. Let's say we want to add, we'll put Kent here. I already have Kent. Sorry, Kent. Let's put Jim. All right. So I've set up several, these are current users, they're already active. Any user that's set up here, you'll see that it's pending. Now, by the way, when you do go and you set up your instance, it does take a little bit of time for it to spin up all of the Media Composers, set that up and get it up. You will get an email or a notification when you can actually go in and start working with it and setting up users. But what happens here when you start adding users is in the background, it's processing a temporary password for every user. The nice thing about that is it's temporary. When the user logs in, they'll be forced to create a new password. So I wouldn't know what it is. It's unique to them. They set it up, they're forced to do it, and that's their password through Avid Edit On Demand. You'll see if I bring up show, that's the temporary password for Joel. I can copy that and then send that to him in an email so that he knows when he logs in what to use until it prompts him to put in a new password. And this can all be done in a nice little email, a whole little setup on all the requirements that somebody would need to do to set up Avid Edit On Demand. Okay, that's still happening. In a couple of minutes, we would get a password for every user set up there. Now, under the system, this is key to Avid Edit On Demand as far as all of the links to be able to work on your instance. So you'll see here under my current setup, again, you have your system ID, but there is a link to the remote desktop client installers. This is using Teradici to log into Avid Edit On Demand. This URL, you can copy and paste it into an email, is just going to send them to the Teradici software download. So I can, if I'm on Windows, if I'm on Mac, I can choose the download client to be able to log into Avid Edit On Demand. You'll also see here under the remote desktop host address, EOD Burbank. That was the name that I designated for this instance. So this host address is basically telling me when I open up the Teradici client, what host address would I use to assign to that? So again, this gets put in the email so that whoever signs in, they would plop that into the Teradici client as the host address to link into the instance of 5 Media Composers with 25 terabytes of storage to be able to work with Avid Edit on Demand. And then finally here, the file transfer host address is the link to File Catalyst. This is where File Catalyst is where you would upload your media. When you're building Avid Edit on Demand, it creates a single workspace that any media that you upload will automatically be put into that workspace. So it's a direct link using that naming convention that you've set up. So really easy to do that. Everything's brought in. Once it's into the Avid Edit on Demand Media Composer and Nexus, you can go in and move your Avid media files around. You could take transcoded media and upload that. You could take raw files and then put them into Media Composer and transcode them. You decide how you want to work. It could be graphics, it could be music, it could be anything you want is put into the workspace. Really fast and easy. So once that's done, you send an email with all the information on how somebody logs in, and let's go in and log into my instance of Avid Edit on Demand. You'll see here that, again, I have multiple setups here. You may have multiple productions where you want to set up different instances of Avid Edit on Demand depending on who is logging in or what you want to have control of. Turn it off, turn it on, whatever you want, buying your subscriptions. So this Burbank link right here, you'll see if I go to my settings, EOD Burbank, that's the host address that was right here. So you would take that, you could rename it, that's the connection name. So you'll see the connection name is right here. When I select that, it's going to take me into Avid Edit on Demand. Now, the client, the user, types in their name. They would be first told to type in a new password once they go in and put in their temporary one, and it'll log in. So at this point, it's logging into Avid Edit on Demand. It is the 5 instances you're seeing right here. You will see that, let me go ahead and click one and start. One says in session, one says stopped. I was doing a little bit of work before, so if I had already spun up an instance, because again, this is all by time, the other option would have been started or ready, meaning that that instance has been spun up. What you're seeing here is, since these instances are stopped, and because it's all by time that the media composers are on, it will turn off after a certain amount of time when somebody's not using it. So if it's sitting idle, it will turn off, but when you turn it back on, it'll pop back into the place where it was if Media Composer was currently up, if it was at the desktop. But you're seeing it live. The remote desktop is actually starting, so after a few minutes, it will launch. If it says in session, that just means that somebody's already in. Somebody's already using that instance of Avid Edit on Demand, so we don't want to disrupt that. Excuse me. Yeah, while this is happening, again, I should have had this ready and prepared. We would see that. While this is coming up, I don't know if there are any questions that this can hit. Of course, we'll start answering a question and this will pop up. Let's see.
Hey, Michael, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Ken.
Hey,
Somebody
Ken.
was asking about third-party plugins with regards to EOD.
Third-party plugins with EOD. Good question. The third-party plugins currently, the way it's set up is, again, we manage everything as the software as a service. So third-party plugins currently cannot be installed on Media Composer, but that is something we are working towards. I mean, there is a way that if once you get early access, once you get into Avid Edit on Demand, you could talk to our engineering department, and if there are certain plugins that you want to have installed, we could work on that. But we are also working in the future to make it a little easier, I believe, for the administrator to be able to do that. But that's currently not available yet. Thank you. Good question.
Actually, I can ask you another one if you want one.
Sure.
Can you specify what location the files that you upload through File Catalyst goes to, or maybe explain where it goes to right now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's just don't want this to go away. So I'll explain it. I'll be able to show it once I get in. But when you create your user and you go to File Catalyst and you upload through your user and the File Catalyst application, there actually is a folder on the Nexus called File Transfers. You step into that and you'll see every user has their own individual file. So any media that's uploaded through your specific user is put into that folder. So that way, you know, if you need to go in and again, manage, move media into the Avid Media file folder. Oh, here we go. It will upload it to that workspace under that folder. But again, the nice thing is it's actually divided up by the users when they log in. So you know exactly where to look for the stuff that you have input or uploaded. So this is now logging into that one instance of Media Composer. It's in the cloud. It's actually spinning up. You'll see that Media Composer will automatically start automatically when it's finished configuring. So all that means is everything in the background, just as you typically would go into a local system, is things like, you know, your Nexus storage. So you'll see here, if I click, I'm in my instance of Avid Edit on Demand. This is all happening in the cloud. And you'll see that here is my Nexus Client Manager. Nexus Client Manager, here is the one workspace that I have access to. And if I go to my computer and open up that workspace, I've gone in and I've created folders. These folders, again, if you go to File Transfers, ooh, somebody's logged in. Go into Michael. This is the stuff that I uploaded. So through File Catalyst, this is where everything drops. Then I could go in and move things around as, you know, necessary. I mean, I could point to media that's directly on here if I wanted to. But you know, if you're using Avid Media files, that does have to go into the Avid Media file folder. So that would be anything put into your system right here. So here's my Nexus storage. I have my collaborative environment. It's launching Media Composer, and you'll see that it's launching version 2020. So this is what I put into my instance to be able to log into. If it was 2018, it would launch 2018. Okay. So if I go back to, let me go back to the File Catalyst window. So here, again, local files. If I want to upload to my instance of that workspace, I can simply point to, let's go to the desktop. Let me go find, what do I have? Editor interviews. Here I have, you know, Kate. I could simply choose, you know, an MOV file. I could choose MXF files. I could choose JPEGs. I could choose music. I could choose anything I want. And then that stuff is quickly and easily uploaded to the system. And it's put into that folder to be able to access. So this is Teradici client. I've logged into my instance of Avid Edit on Demand. I open up my project. And here it is.
Most a little preoccupied. Can't spend every waking moment together.
When I call, understand?
So again, I'm having really great ballistics moving back and forth here. So if I'm going in to work,
Silent.
I mean, people have said when they've logged into this, they don't even realize they're not working on a local system. You know, all of your scripts, you know, if you are working with script or script sync, again, this is a version of Media Composer Media Composer Ultimate. So it has phrase find and script sync as well as the symphony option built in. So all of those tools are part of Avid Edit on Demand. So if you do want to go in and do any phrase find, you can do that. Control F, you have your languages. Choose your well. searching through Phrasefind, searching through that, searching through my Nexus storage to find any media. You'll see here all of your bin locking. Same thing as if you were working in Media Composer on-prem. Here I have him saying,
Well, well, well.
so all of those tools, everything that's in there is available to you with Avid Edit on Demand. Again, you're choosing the format, you're choosing Media Composer, and just editing. This again, you could have over 2 displays. So if you do want to log into a system and have a bin monitor and an edit monitor, you can set that up. You can do full screen playback if you want. There are also other options that we may want to discuss. Let me go back to the PowerPoint real quick and then we'll open this up. That's not PowerPoint, that's Zoom. Just to go over some of the workflows that are currently used by people who are using Avid Edit on Demand. Again, we have Gorilla Post, Jarrett Creative, and France TV. So Gorilla Post is in Cardiff. They have about 100 Media Composer systems, but they initially set up their instance of Avid Edit on Demand with 3 editors just to see if it would work, and they found that it has been really, really successful. Just to get a sort of overall look at what they're doing, again, I talked about this could be a hybrid. You could have a complete facility or complete production, which is all Avid Edit on Demand to be able to work with. But the Gorilla Post team uses a combination of media with Avid Edit on Demand, where they upload the DNX36 media and the project to EOD, but they're also using the Cloud VM for editorial as well, because they need to work remotely. They may need to do conforms. They may need the full tool set there to be able to work with linking to the high-res media that is local. So they're able to download the project, upload stuff through File Catalyst, download through File Catalyst, the project stuff. They have the AMA rushes that they relink to in their sequence. Any transcoding and consolidating is done on their Nexus 4, but they are able to finish and deliver directly with a full system there. I am going to play this clip from them as well. Hopefully you'll be able to see it, but this is available on our website.
The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, just moments ago announced the country will go into a complete lockdown. Most staff will be working from home.
Corona happened. Every edit suite in the building that's currently running needs to be out and about and being installed in everyone's house. To be honest, I don't think I've ever done anything quite like this. Gorilla. Which is basically cloud editing and Cloud Nexus storage all combined into one service. We did a week's demo. Thought it was a fantastic new product, absolutely brilliant. Little did we know we'd actually be using it for real thanks to Corona. We needed editors to work remotely, quickly.
Everything pretty much happened in a week. We had lots of our clients just asking for us to move to editors' homes.
Avid Edit on Demand from a technical aspect was no different really than any one of our edit suites here.
The editors didn't know that the Nexus was in the cloud. They actually thought they were remotely accessing into our system on-prem.
They said the responsiveness and the power and flexibility it gave them to do their edits pretty much anywhere they wanted.
Connecting to Edit on Demand was easy and straightforward. It's lightning fast.
In Wales and the UK in general, we don't have that great connectivity at home, yet everything works very well with the technology that we're using. We need to collaborate without geographical boundaries.
I would definitely recommend Edit on Demand. You forget that it's a virtual PC. You forget that you're streaming media from the cloud. It's fantastic.
From a remote working point of view, I can't think of any other facility that does what Edit on Demand does as well as it does.
All right. No, that was fantastic. Whoops. Get out of that. And like, again, a really nice use case for Avid Edit on Demand. Also, France TV pretty much has, also a combination of Media Composer Cloud VM and Avid Edit on Demand. Again, you can have Nexus in the cloud. You can have Nexus on-prem to be able to work depending on how you want to be remote, and also what your workflow is. And talking about client monitoring, and again, this is a big thing. You want to have the experience. Some people say they want over the shoulder. Do they just want to see playouts? Do they want to actually see the timeline? There are different options depending on what you need to do. And again, we're trying to work through some things here. Several years ago, we introduced the NDI plugin with Media Composer that actually allows you to go in and do a local area network viewing of your output directly from Media Composer. So somebody could be on a laptop, the producer could be in another room, and they could be watching the output while somebody's working on Media Composer. So there are a couple of options here. You'll also see that some people are logging into Media Composer Cloud VM and enabling the NDI output on that Media Composer. So it could be done on-prem, but still being able to output the NDI and play that out. And then there's also other conferencing systems that can be installed locally to be able to do that same thing. So again, people are just trying to be able to work as best as possible remotely with tools that are available, and we're working on others to make the experience better as well. One thing I do want to note, and I think you may know this while watching a Zoom, we don't support or endorse Zoom or other conference platforms as far as being able to do this. You can do things, but I don't think the experience is up to snuff with something like that. So you do want to use something that's a little more robust, like Teradici or the remote desktop solutions or Avid Edit on Demand. Some things that are really important to know, again, the Avid Edit on Demand system is evolving. When it first came out, it was really good, but it has really changed to what it's been able to do up till today. And we are getting a lot of feedback with our customers that are currently using it as to ways to make it even evolve more. So some things to talk about that are coming out. So an integrated solution for a better overall collaboration, just like over the shoulder. Kent had asked the question, or somebody had asked the question, so thank you, about plugin support. So we are looking at ways to be able to support more plugins with Avid Edit on Demand, and also more Media Composer VM choices to be able to log into as well. Administration is huge. I mean, one thing to be able to go in, if you know Avid Nexus, being able to administrate the workspaces and passwords and delete users and stuff, that currently is not available with Avid Edit on Demand. You have to go to the engineering department to do that. But we are working towards allowing administrators to have access to be able to delete users, reset passwords, and also being able to monitor things a lot better. And also storage flexibility. It's one thing to have one storage space, but wouldn't it be nice to have more? So we are looking at being able to do multiple Nexus workspaces with Avid Edit on Demand. Being able to sync on-prem and EOD, Nexi, being able to do that, and also assigning user permissions for workspaces. So again, a lot of the tools that people know and love when they administrate Nexus to work collaboratively at the facility, we want to be able to expand that to people using Avid Edit on Demand. And also some other really great tools that are out there to give people some more experience as if they were working over the shoulder or being part of the process. We know people are using things like Evercast to be able to work collaboratively with a little video conferencing system, to be able to see the timeline while somebody's working, being able to see the full screen play out, add notations and a lot of things like there. And also Streambox as a way to set up an encoding system on-prem to be able to play things out full screen. There's Teradek that also has options to be able to do full screen playback with devices connected to your output displays. So there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of solutions that that people are working. We know more productions coming back as well. There are some people working at the facilities that are required social distancing, but we also do know that there are people that do want to work from home. They're finding that they are effective. They're actually more refreshed. They can go in and work a little bit, they can spend time with their families, and they may even go in later at night to even do a little more work because they have that direct access. So I think at this point we have about 10 minutes. Why don't we open this up for some questions and answers? So Ken, Imanol, Angel, Sarah, how are things looking out there?
So I have a couple of questions. I guess I had a few people ask about what happens when you want to transcode, consolidate, and that in EOD. Like, what is different using EOD, or is there anything different?
Nothing. There is really nothing different. If I let me go back into the edit on demand system. So if there's any media that I need to bring in, again, I have all the tools. If I go to, let's say, my source browser, and I want to go to my storage space, and on my storage space, I have some drone footage here, and I want to select that drone footage, and I want to put that into, let's just create a new bin and link. So it's now linking to that new bin. There's my media. Now this is linked media that's on the Nexus workspace that I am scrubbing, that is in my data center in the West US. So that's linked media, just as if you were doing your typical linking. I can select that, I can do my transcode and choose my workspace, DNXLB, transcode, and there it goes. So nothing has changed. Again, this could be happening on the system, if you were logged in, but if somebody has already created the DNX media, just use File Catalyst and upload it and move it into the Avid Media file folder. But again, if you want to be able to transcode and do all the stuff here, you can do it. Not a problem. I hope that answered your question.
I have another question that Ron just asked. Actually, what's the difference between cloud remote and EOD? Media Composer Cloud Remote.
Good question. Now, is that Media Composer Cloud Remote?
Yeah, that's the question.
So one thing we didn't talk about is a product we have called Media Composer Cloud Remote. The difference being there is Cloud Remote is you're requiring Media Composer to be installed on your local system. And what happens there is you're linked into our asset management system to be able to look at proxies off of the on-prem system to edit. It's good. I don't think the quality personally is there, but if you do want to be able to connect to your on-prem Nexus to be able to preview the proxy media and work. Again, you do have to have Media Composer installed on the system here, which you don't have to have with EOD, with any of these other options. I was remoting into an instance of Media Composer. So if there had to be an update to the software, you would have to be responsible for doing that on your local system. But again, you're linking to media on the on-prem system. It's creating proxies by JPEG files that are put on your local system, and that's what you're editing with. You can, upload media to that as well, but everything would be done on your local system. Yes, I mean that's the main difference. Do you want it to be local? Do you want to manage everything, or do you want all of everything to be managed on your cloud or other system? You're not having to really worry about all of that on your local. Did that make sense? Was that?
Yep, that makes sense to me.
Awesome. Good. Great.
What else? Oh, actually, I'm not sure if you covered this, but what about if you have multiple monitors at home? when you're using Teradici or even Z Central, can you take advantage of, all the monitors you have at home, and what kind of impact will that have?
Absolutely. You can, if you have multiple monitors set up, once you, just like you would in a standard Media Composer setup, you would assign your canvas or whatever to go over both monitors. Again, we do require for connectivity about 25 meg per screen, because it does, require, if you're going to have more screens, you need more bandwidth to be able to do that. But absolutely, you can set up multiple displays. You can set up a full screen playback, depending on what you're doing. I mean, there are some things that might not give you that exact experience as if you were at the facility. So things like, full finishing, calibration of monitors, sound, surround sound, being able to do other things like that. But again, a lot of this has to do depending on your role. I mean, if you want to have multiple displays, absolutely. If you want to be on an laptop, no problem. Depending on what you're doing is going to dictate how you're going to be connected to your remote systems. But yes, it can be done. All right. Let's see. Trying to think of what else, any other little tidbits or nuggets that we may have.
Michael, did you mention at all of any kind of ways of preventing people from uploading or even downloading content?
Well, basically, if you don't have access, that's the best way. That's why we provide a, you have to assign your own password when you are logged in. If somebody has to, again, one of the things that's a future, if somebody forgets their password, you basically need to set them up as a brand new user and go through the process. You can't change passwords at this point. So if you don't have access to the system, just like access to workspaces and things like that and having permissions, you won't have access here as well. So I think along any lines, any facility, if anybody has access, you have that security issue where they could potentially, download stuff, but you have all of the same permissions and control that you have with Nexus and project sharing and bin locking as you would have on-prem.
Yeah, and I think to extend that too is that, like Michael had showed with regards to the links to get to the File Catalyst server, to get to the actual VMs, if you just wanted editors to edit and don't want them to have any capabilities of getting to the interface that Michael's showing right now, just don't give them the URL, because they won't be able to find it otherwise. And that way you can't upload, and that way you can't download either. So I think that's another way of preventing using, that tool, obviously, at the same time.
And also, I see a lot of questions coming in, and also we have a lot on social media, and we're sort of running short on time, so we're having enough for one or two more questions. I think the plan is we'll also answer these and post these along with the video when it does become available. So let's just see what else. Why are the system names so cryptic? How is someone going to know what system they last used? That's a good question. I believe that also is something that we're looking at. It is just a random name that is being assigned when you do set up your instance of Avid Edit On Demand. I think you saw that when all the different boxes came up. So that is something we are looking at. Thank you, Howard.
I have one for you too. Someone asked, does it work on EOD work on Mac and PC?
Good question. The thing is, I am working on a Mac, but I am going into a PC. So we are using Teradici, we are using Microsoft Azure to be able to log into. So at this point, you aren't logging into a Mac to be able to work. You are logging into a PC. So yeah, we currently, due to Mac and the way their operating system works, and putting Mac on servers just is not possible at this point. I think there are some people who are working for options to be able to remote into some Macs. So I don't know where we are with that right now, but to answer your question, EOD currently is you are logging into just a PC. That was a long answer to your question. All right. Well, I think we're top of the hour. Again, I apologize. We didn't get to all of the questions. There are a lot of them there, but more importantly, I do want to thank everybody who did join for the presentation. Again, a lot of great information. We hope that everybody out there is safe and well. We definitely appreciate your time. Check out our website for any information on any remote workflows for Avid Edit on Demand. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the day, night, evening, morning,